Welcome to Learn to Play Fiddle Lesson 6. In today's lesson we're going to concentrate on learning a little bit about the key of C, and we're also going to look a little bit at rhythm with bowing, and finally we're going to finish by learning a new tune. This one is like an English country dance tune, so it's quite an interesting, fun tune to play. First of all, I'll put some rosin on my bow. How often should you rosin the bow? Well, it really depends. If it starts to sound a bit scratchy and squeaky, then that's really the time to apply some more rosin. Should you do it every time you pick up the violin and play? Not necessarily. It really depends on whether the bow is doing its job properly and starting to drag the string and make it vibrate. Certainly if you were doing a performance for people listening to you playing, then it would be wise to put some rosin on the bow. But generally, if you're just practicing, it's not necessary to do it every time. So it's just a question really of listening. If you hear lots of squeaks, then maybe it's time for the bow to have some more rosin applied. Okay, the key of C today we're concentrating on. So let's have a look now. You'll see the musical notation appearing, and I've tried to indicate which string is playing which note. So let's have a look. The key of C. Okay, so that's from the bottom C on the G string to the next C, which is on the A string. Now there's also a further C on the E string. Let's see if we can find that. There it is. Now you have to cheat a little bit to get to that C, but I'll talk about that in a moment. But first of all, let's find the bottom C, which is on that G string, and it's played with the ring finger, the third finger. And if you're coming up from the G, it's that one. Okay. And then we go on to the open D, then on to the E. Now we go on to the F natural, which is right next to the E. Then we're on to the G, which we play with our ring finger. Then on to the open A, and then first finger down for the B. Now we've got the C, which is a natural C. It's not a sharp or a flat. It's called a natural, C natural. There it is, right next to the B. And now moving up the notes, we're going on to the D. Then on to the open E, then on to the F natural, and then on to the G, then on to the A. Now little finger or pinky down for the B. Now, how do we get to the C? Well, you can cheat. You can just slide that little finger, that pinky, up to the C. Now, in classical music, they tend to shift position to reach the upper notes. But in fiddle playing, most of the tunes are actually in first position. So in other words, You don't have, once you've learnt the notes, the basic notes that we've been looking at in these different keys, then you generally don't have to move your hand up the neck. So in fiddle playing we tend to stick in first position. Not always. In some fiddle tunes they do go up, higher up the neck, but at the moment it's easier to think that we're sort of, most of our tunes are going to be in first position. And it's rare that you ever have to play that top C in a tune. There aren't many tunes I can think of that have a top C in. There are bound to be some, but they're not as common perhaps as regular notes in the first position. So that's why I do that little cheat. Rather than trying to change position to hit that top C, because it's something that rarely happens in fiddle music. So let's go through it again. So we're going to go through the key of C now, and we're going to march our way up. We'll probably end up by going to the B. There, we probably won't go any further. So 3, 4, from the bottom C now. 3, 4. That's the B. Let's see if we can go down again. Certainly hard on the E string, isn't it? Looking at my worksheet, and of course you can print out that worksheet or save it as a PDF, there are actually 5 notes on that E string, but if we include the C there are 6 notes on that E string. So it's quite difficult to run back down and get the intonation correct. I find that quite difficult, so I'm sure you will. But, unless you're brilliant, which I'm sure you all are. But anyway, let's start from that bottom C again. Let's get this right. 3, 4. And if you really want to, okay, now let's go back down. It's useful to practice, but don't beat yourself up trying to do it, because the key of C is not the most regular key for fiddle tunes. Okay, there are plenty of tunes in this key, and certainly some of the old-time key tunes are in the key of C, and I love those tunes. But don't think it's not the most common of keys, I must be honest. The most common keys tend to be D, G, and A, the ones that we've already looked at. But C is important, so that's why I'm covering it in this lesson. Now, the next part of the lesson. In this section, I want to talk to you about how musical notation will often indicate to you the sort of rhythm that you should be applying to a tune. So the example I've got, you might notice below on the screen, I've got 2 crotchets, so I'm going like, if that's a 4/4 time, I'm going to count this out as 8 because it will make it easier, because there's also one of those little dots behind the 3rd crotchet, which means that it counts as 1.5. And then we've got a quaver after that. So it's sort of the timing is like this. If I go 1/2 for the first crotchet, 3/4 for the next crotchet, and then the next crotchet 5, 6, 7, and then finally the quaver is 8. So it sounds a bit like this. Now, why am I doing that? Because I want you to see the timing visually. Let's do it on the A string now. One, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Yeah, that was easier counting it that way. I went 1, 2, 3 and 4. So that kind of got the extra half a beat in. So I'll do it back on the D string a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now up to the A. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, that's enough of that. But that does indicate to you how rhythm can be indicated through the notation. And that simple point of extending one note and shortening the note behind gives us that nice rhythm. So it's time now to look at the tune for this particular lesson. It's a tune I composed last night specifically for this lesson. It's written in the style of an English country dance tune. So that's the type of tune we're going to have a go at playing. I'll play it for you first, and then you'll have heard what it sounds like, and then we can go through it more slowly. So it sounds like this: 3, 4. That's the tune. Okay, let's have a look at this notation. Now you'll see that quite a few of the measures or bars have the same pattern of notes, where you've got 2 crotchets followed by a crotchet and a half and then a quaver. So the way to count those probably would be best to go 1, 2, 3 and 4. So it sort of gives you that extra bit of time on that 3rd crotchet and a half. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, because that indicates the rhythm of that tune. So let's work our way through it anyway. So starting with the pickup notes, we're going to play all the way through to the first repeat time bar, or repeat time measure. In other words, where you see the number 1, we're going to stop there. We're going to stop at those 2 little dots, and we're going to bounce our way back to the beginning, like 2 little springs being pushed all the way back to the beginning, where there are 2 further dots, like a couple more springs, stopping us and pushing us back to play the same thing again. Then when we reach the first time bar the second time, we jump and we go on to the second time bar to finish the A section of the tune. So let's play through it. 3, 4. Repeat. Now there are 2 quavers there, which are pick-up notes for the B part of the tune. 3, 4. Two springs or 2 repeats. Let's get back to the beginning. Now, you notice I looked as though I was getting an electric shock every time I got to that quaver at the end. I was bouncing up with the bow. Well, of course, I'm trying to do that to indicate to you where that longer crotchet is, followed by the short quaver. But so you don't need to copy my bowing exactly, because it does look as though I'm receiving a quick electric shock every time. But let's pick up the speed, shall we? So I'll go this sort of 1, 2, 3, 4. That should make it flow more smoothly. 3, 4. Now then, you may have noticed that I was emphasising some of the other measures there as well, almost as if they had the same arrangement of a 1.5 times crotchet and a quaver, but they didn't on the musical notation. The reason is because in fiddle music you interpret the tunes exactly how you want. You don't have to stick entirely to what you see on the notation. The beauty of fiddle music is you've given this freedom. You can add your own interpretation into the tune as you play it. I think that's the wonderful thing about fiddle music. It's completely free and open for you as the musician to choose how you interpret playing a tune. So that's the reason for that. It wasn't me making mistakes, honestly. It was me interpreting the tune, how I felt I should do as an artist. Okay, the final thing, well, we'll come back to this tune, but the final thing I want to point out to you is there's a nice point at the end where we've got this long note in the very last measure that we can actually introduce a double stop. Double stop basically means you're holding down 2 strings at the same time and playing 2 notes. It's sometimes called a chord, although sometimes that might be a 3-note thing, but on this occasion the double stop is holding down 2 notes. And I'm going to, at the very end, we finish on a C natural on the A string. So what you can do is, if you put your first finger on the D string on the first position, that's an E, that can be played with the C. Now, you don't want your bow too taut, neither do you want it too slack. You want it just so there's a bit of give there, so that you can hold down 2 strings like that to get this double stop. So at the very end, or you can do this as a finish, however you interpret it. So let's play this tune again, a little bit more speed, not too fast, but just pick it up slightly. We'll go through the whole thing and then we'll see if we can get that double stop in at the very end. So, are we ready? Whew, let's see. That's the beginning point. Sorry, that's the beginning point. We start on an E on the pickup notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. fancy it. So that's the key of C. It's quite tricky, I think it is. Certainly on some of those notes on the E string you want to go into either the key of D or G, because then we're used to hitting sharps and not naturals. So I guess the thing is to sort of try practicing, start playing the key of C. Just try and get used to that if you can, but don't spend hours doing it, you know, because it will occur naturally. The tune is useful because the tune is in the key of C, so it's sort of helping you to practice it, that playing in that key, and you can instantly hear if you hit the wrong note. So that's why it's quite useful. The double stop, well, that was a bonus. That was an introduction to a lot of different types of chords that we can play in future lessons. And of course we've looked at repeat time bars. We know what the 1 and 2 means now. But if you weren't sure, then hopefully playing this tune will have helped you to see a practical example of that. And the other thing is the rhythm given to you by the notation. It's indicated, but it is only an indication. It's down to you as the musician to interpret exactly how you feel you want to interpret it. So there we are. That's lesson number 6. I hope that's interesting for you. I haven't got a title for this tune yet, but I'll no doubt dream something up. But I hope that was fun and enjoyable. Have fun with your fiddle playing, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.